Welcome. You're listening to Entertain You. This is a radio program brought to you by the Radio Ear Network, Society Bites Network, and the Sarasota County Film and Entertainment Office. I'm Jeannie Corcoran, your friendly neighborhood film commissioner, and I bring you wonderful guests from the world of business, the world of entertainment, the world of creation, and by that I mean artistic creations such as writers and novelists and producers and actors and directors and so forth, but also interesting people like some of the ones you're going to hear from today. And my first guest today, because I want her to talk about herself, not me, is Susan Weller. Hi, Susan.
Hey, Jeannie, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun, and look forward to our discussion today.
It is fun. It's a fun show, but it's also a very informative, educational show with a good, fun, casual, relaxed edge. So relax and have fun.
Awesome.
And you'll have a great time, and so will the audience. And I want everybody out there to know I met Susan a couple years ago at the Benderson Lake at the World Championship rowing event, and we had a chance to just sit and yak, and it was just a delightful conversation. I was so impressed with Susan and her manner and her knowledge and her intellect, as well as she is a lovely, lovely lady. And I learned more about her since then. We also were together on a panel for a beauty pageant recently, and I learned a little bit about her show business experience, her show business and pageant experience. But what we're going to talk about probably most today is her amazing business acumen. Susan, I found out, has a website called SwellerJobs.com.
That's
and
right.
S. Weller, Susan Weller. But what a great name, Sweller Jobs. I want a sweller job. I don't want a worser job.
It is kind of fun, and it leaves the door open for a lot of opportunity working with different businesses, small and large, different backgrounds, be it technology or it could be industrial or manufacturing. So hopefully that little catchy phrase will continue to have a little ring with it, but yes.
It's very clever. It's
Thank
very
you.
clever. And it just suits you. It suits you as clever and yet stylish.
Thank you.
And as I was looking at it, I looked at your resume and some of your amazing clients and your background in the industrial universe and manufacturing and chemicals, and you have a degree in education and, very, very diverse background. And consequently a very diverse intellect as well. And I thought, how does that cross-pollinate with entertainment? And I got to thinking, every business of every kind has to put a public face on who and what they are. And the people they hire, they're just so much of that public face. And it may not be entertainment per se, but it is public relations and press and publicity and marketing, and especially customer relations, customer service. So tell me how you got into recruiting and how you got into placing people. One of the things I read about you is that this is your passion, putting the right people in the right places.
Oh, it is, most definitely. And I have to admit, how I got into it, I think I've always been in the people business. I mean, goes way, way back. I was a child in school that always got in trouble for talking. So it's kind of funny now that that's what I actually do for a living. But in all seriousness, I got actually recruited. I had someone approach me that said, hey, you know what? There's a company in Alabama that is a recruiting staffing firm, and they're in the automotive space. And, gosh, I think you might be kind of good. Would you mind talking to them? At the time, it was just a great juncture. I was transitioning. I had small children, and I was like, sure, I'll be glad. It's a conversation. And lo and behold, the job came to fruition, and I became a corporate recruiter with this firm. And they worked in the automotive space. We worked with Tier 1, Tier 2 suppliers, high-level, very specialized positions like quality engineers, quality managers, mechanical engineers, controllers for large corporations, plant managers, and so forth.
Very high-wage, high-tech, high-skill kind of jobs.
Very much so. And what I learned about that was I learned from, commerce and business and trade, and then I also learned the people factor. There was a wonderful element when you're talking with a family, and maybe they're located in South Carolina, and you're bringing them over to a completely different state. Taking the time to really peel back those layers, digest who they are, how they're going to fit into this company, and what that roadmap looks like for them. It's kind of like not only is it a partnership, it's like a marriage. You're looking for culture fit for the company and long term, but you're also looking for the right skill set. And when you can find those two conglomerates and put them together, it's a win-win. that was very exciting. So that kind of continued to role play, very high level jobs, very specific, working with people all across the country.
Sure, you're a business matchmaker.
Well, and that's exactly, yes, absolutely, in more ways than one. And then from there, that company was very a positive experience. I worked with them for about 4 or 5 years out of Alabama. And what I began to realize was businesses, be it large or small, there is a tremendous need. There was almost a disconnect. Corporations were looking desperately for the right people. Small businesses needed the right people for their company to succeed. There were wonderful, qualified, talented candidates that were seeking new opportunities, but they couldn't find the roadmap. They couldn't find how to connect with one another.
How to make the gears mesh.
How to make the gears mesh. And so one of my clients, who happened to be down in Boca Raton, Florida, we were talking, and I was doing kind of really an overview of their entire company. Their company was at a juncture for growth. They were asking, we need some strategic people in certain places. What can we do? How can we do it? And we just kind of took a roadmap and laid out, asked different employees different questions, really observing their company culture. And several things that were a wonderful takeaway working with smaller businesses that opened my eyes was, one, not every company can pay some of the higher fees that these larger corporations were paying. So there was a need. We had small businesses that needed quality people, but they're so busy running their own business, they can't go out and source and find and recruit and vet and take the time to peel back those layers to make sure that person has the right skills, that has the right culture to bring into their company.
And stay. Fit and stay.
Yes.
Because that seems to be such a challenge. I've seen in different jobs that I've had over the years and working in different companies and corporations and whatever, sometimes the parade of people through positions is just embarrassing to that company, how they can't seem to keep people.
It is. And that is one conversation that I have with every client, is that you're not just looking to plug and play. We're not just looking to fill a warm body, put that person in a spot. We want to know what your company culture is. What is your mission? What drives your business? What are kind of the ethos that are in your business that are going to help bring your business to that next plateau? Finding the company culture and the right skills has to go hand in hand. And that is definitely something that has changed now than, say, maybe 10, 20 years ago when you did just need somebody to fill that spot.
And companies didn't care if they flipped people like pancakes because there was another one right around the corner.
Exactly.
Took years, maybe decades, for business leaders to understand how expensive that is to them.
Expensive is a great word. And that's one thing that I have tried very diligently with my business in an effort to promote small business and to promote businesses across the board, because I do range with corporations, manufacturing, distributors, as well as retailers, that there is an option. My company's not out necessarily to be the largest, but what we do is fill quality. We want quality people. I have found that when I make those two mergers between the culture and the skill set, as we just mentioned, that the candidates will stay, I get repeat business. They want to know, come on, tell me what your secret sauce is. What are we doing to find all these people? And they're staying, they're happy, they're good employees. And part of that is, unlike maybe some other firms, at SWELLER Jobs, what we do, and at Flooring Careers, which is my sister company, we make an effort to peel back the layers. It's kind of like dating. When you go on that first date, everybody's got their P's and Q's. They're
best
all
behavior.
Best behavior. Everything is just fine. But when you have that second conversation and you really begin to become a little bit more relaxed, you really find out what drives them, what motivates them, where do they see themselves in a couple of years. Then you begin to see if that person's going to be the right fit for the company, or maybe do they fit better over in this other position. And that time, it's expensive. It takes time. And that's where the value at SWELLER Jobs and Flooring Careers that we bring into play is that we do take the time to vet that candidate very carefully. I may go through 20, 40 resumes going through that initial, and then I'll peel back those and say, okay, these 10, I want to go back and talk to these 10, and I'll have another conversation so that if you're my client, by the time that one resume gets over to your desk, that person's already been vetted 2 or 3 times, and that takes time. So while you're running your business and doing what you do best, you're entrusting me to do what I do best, and that is sourcing and finding and taking the time to make sure that we're putting the right person in your business. Because do you know what? If you hire one person in your business, that person has the power to either raise your company culture and your success rate of your business, or heavens to Betsy, if you hire somebody because you need that warm body and you're just hiring them on a fluke, flipping them like a pancake, their attitude, their demeanor, their skill set can do just the opposite, and it can totally bring your company value down. So it's an opportunity to take seriously, to put some time and effort in, not to rush through it. Take time as a client to vet and speak, because, small businesses, manufacturers, we're all kind of ingrained together. We're all on the wheel of success together. And when businesses take time to hire the right people that fit their culture with the right skills, their business is going to succeed. Their profitability is going to go up. They're going to have happy employees. In turn, what's going to happen? Those happy employees are going to have happy homes and happy families, and it works together.
Right. It really is. Actually, I was thinking about buying clothes off the rack, for example. You can go to 1 million stores and buy clothes off the rack, but how often do you go to a tailor? How often do they fit you? How often does someone take the time to measure you and make it right and make it perfect and make it fit, which sounds like what you do.
Oh, that's beautifully said. And yes, I love that analogy. And that's exactly right. And I take it very seriously because it's got my name on it. It has my company business on it. So I do follow up, and it's fun to see that many of the people that I've placed are still at those positions. They come back and they give me a referral, or they say, oh, would you talk to my friend so-and-so that's looking for a position, That's the best compliment of all.
Right.
So you're exactly right, and it is a wonderful thing. But then in the same regard, as you find step one for the people that are actually looking for positions, do you know what the best way that they can get their foot in the door, one of the best things that they could do is?
No. What?
Their resume. They have to have a good resume.
How true.
And there are different components. You wouldn't believe the number of resumes that I go through, and they don't have the simple basics like contact information. And it's almost kind of like one of those, I could have had a V8. You're looking for a job, but you don't put your contact information on your resume. How am I going to get in touch with you?
Right. It's like I get phone messages left at my desk, and it'll say, oh, hi, I need to ask this or find out this, or could you tell me that, or I'm looking for a location, and I have to have some help. So please call me back. Click.
Click.
I have no idea who it is. And then I look on my phone record, and there may be 25 calls on that record. I don't know which one that is because not everybody leaves a message. So
exactly. So before you can get to the tailor to be able to be dressed for success, to be placed in front of that company for success, you have to have your resume, and it needs to be a certain kind of element and components, because I tell people you have to remember, number one, you have to have your contact information front and center at the top. Okay, that seems like a no-brainer, but like we just mentioned, there are people that don't do it. We don't necessarily need your address on there, but a city and a state where you're located, so we know if you're relocating, if you're moving, email, phone number, and we don't need middle names, all the things. Just first and last name are sufficient.
Right. And how far away you are from the job.
Exactly.
By putting down the city and the state.
Yeah.
I've had people respond to job calls, and they are 300 miles away on the other coast. And if I call them back, I'll say, are you willing to move? What? Oh, what?
I didn't realize the job was there.
Yeah. Is that far?
Exactly. Yeah. And that takes some educating on the candidate's part as well. They have to be sharp enough to be able to realize and look. And sometimes I think they're just throwing their information out there. But if they're doing it